Okay. So tell me, how was your holiday, Fuada? Just like that? You just nodded your head. So I'm supposed to read the sign language? You tell me vocally, how was your holiday? Did you enjoy
Was
it?
yes, answered.
Excellent. I'm sure it was a very nice time. No school work, no disturbance of any teacher, and everything. Azim, how was it for you?
I don't have anything to say, ma'am. It was nothing for me. It was only about 2 days holidays. I didn't even consider it as holidays.
Only 2 days. I
Yeah.
I thought Eid was longer than that. You guys only got 2 days out of it. Here it's
Uh,
here they take it quite
sorry, 3
seriously.
days.
Yeah.
3 days. 3 days.
Here they take it
Yeah.
seriously. The three days and it falls into a weekend, so it just becomes like one long weekend.
Yeah. Then why are only 3 days? And there was a special class for us in Saturday.
Wonderful.
Only three period was
Now
there.
you
They
see why
conducted it.
you are a grade 10 student. A lot of responsibility lies on your head. Your teachers want to
Yeah.
ensure that you are
That's the problem.
adequately prepared for your board exam so that you don't disappoint us, right? And yourself. First of all, so that you don't disappoint yourself and then your parents and then the rest of the world. Yeah. Well, 3 days is good enough, man. 3 days is
Yeah,
quite a
to
good,
me it was not enough.
yeah, it's a good enough time to just,
No, we used to go very well. It's like in
yeah,
each
it goes
days,
very
it's
fast.
like
It goes very fast when you're playing video games. I know.
no, I was not playing video games. I have gone very many other homes, and at that day I was going everyone's house, and the next day I will be tired of
That
going
that
yesterday,
was
and
wonderful. At least
I
you got.
got only 1 day for play and all.
Anyway, it's good to see you again. So we'll just start. I was just given 1 minute to see if one or two more people could join us. Then we can take off. This link is actually our main link. The other link was only emergency, and I'm not going to use it again because it has actually expired. So I wouldn't be using it again. So I would rather you delete it and forget about it. This is the link we use, except in situations of emergency. Then I can create another link, or Victor can create another link. Or otherwise, this is the link for this class. Okay, because it has been set, the timing is set and everything. All right, so I can see it's just how many people in my class was supposed to be 12. How many? Anyway, I saw Fatima. Yeah, Fatima, how are you? I just saw you coming now, right? How are you?
Yeah, ma'am, it was just connecting only, and I'm using Wi-Fi, and it is having some issues today,
So sorry about
so it
that.
take time.
Yeah, anyway, I'm recording the class, so you can always refer to the recorded session afterwards. All right, so we're going to start Unit 4 today. I wanted us to ease in with something a little, like storytelling, gentle, not just jumping on you with grammar and all those stuff. So tell me, has anybody heard of Anne Frank before? Have you ever heard of Anne Frank? Anyone?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, there was a
Aisha?
diary of Anne Frank
Yeah.
something.
The Diary of Anne Frank, but what of Anne Frank as a person? She was an icon.
I'm just guessing. I don't have that much memory. Is it about that Nazi concentration camp?
Well, it is called something. It's called, yeah, it's a Nazi concentration camp, but there was a particular name given to that particular incident that occurred. What was it?
Holocaust.
The
Holocaust.
Holocaust. Yeah. So it was a Holocaust. Yeah. And what usually a Holocaust will be what? Sometimes you have a Holocaust and you have a genocide, but these are usually acts of war or acts of terrible acts
It
of
was like
human
5 million
destruction
Jews were killed.
targeted at a specific tribe or people and all that. So today we'll be reading, we'll start reading the Diary of Anne Frank, and as we read along, we will discuss it. Now, the reading, each person will take a bit of it, they would read, and they will explain what they have understood about it. Has any of you kept a diary before? I'm just curious. Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, what do you like write in your diary? Is it only your to-do list? I keep diaries. That's my favorite pastime. I'm a diary champion. I'm actually, I doubt if I can function without one. So what kind of things do you put in your diary?
It's mainly about sports, like football and all. I'll stick some photos of the football player and will write like
And,
on that upcoming days of game plan. Yeah.
okay, let me,
Other than that, nothing.
all right, let me see. I think I have one very quick one behind me here. It's a little dilapidated. However, this is one of my diaries. It's a little dilapidated. To see how well loved it is, it's even sellotaped. Now, apart from the fact that I write my to do, it helps to organize. Your diary helps you to organize. But at the same time, organize yourself during the day. At the same time, it helps you to reflect, and write down things you probably don't want to forget that you can always refer back to. All right, for example, here is January 2020, 1st January last year. This is my last year's diary. So if I want to remember what I did on Thursday, for example, I wrote here, um, gray color day, assembly, um, flag making activity, things to discuss during the staff meeting, homework, parents connect, student advising, notebook correction, etc., etc. Then at the bottom, I have some little notes. So actually, day by day, I can, if I don't remember, because I'm not superhuman, I may not remember what happened on the 3rd of Friday, the 3rd of January, but I can open my diary and remember. So the diary serves a whole lot of enormous purpose, right? I know guys will like writing a diary. Everybody writes a diary. Everybody keeps it. It's not a girl's thing. Please don't think it that way. It helps you to keep organized. It helps you to reflect. Sometimes I use the diary for your personal goals. You decide, okay, these are the things I want to achieve this month, and then each day you take out, in the evening you fill out what you think you want to achieve with regards to your personal goal.
Ma'am, I used to write diary, but in fifth, sixth, and seventh. But after that, I knew that either writing is not that simple, so I left it, stopped it.
Okay, at least you do write. It's a very excellent take out time and just research on the purpose of keeping a journal or diary writing. And you will see that the benefits are so many, you would find it very useful. Seriously. Apart from keeping a chronicle of activities that you can always refer to, it helps you plan. It helps you reflect on your personal goals and to keep a track of them. So anyway, we're going to read into the Diary of Anne Frank and see, maybe if she had been stuck in a concentration camp and she hadn't kept a diary, she wouldn't probably remember so many things, or they will look like figments of her imagination, right? So the essence of having a diary cannot be undermined at all. All right. So I'm just going to share the screen with you, and then we can start. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Great, excellent. So I'm just going to go through before you read aspect, then we will take it from the diary of Anne Frank. Annelise, that's the full name. Annelise Marie Anne, maybe a shortened aspect of Annelise Anne Frank, born 12 June 1929, February, March. I don't know, maybe if it is that, you know, at least then they still used to keep accounts, and there were birth certificates, and she died in 1945. She was a German, but of Jewish descent, of Jewish heritage. Yeah, German born Jewish girl who wrote while in hiding with her family and four friends in Amsterdam during the war occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. When did World War II start and when did it end? I think actually World War II ended just when and around when Anne died. Should have ended, if I'm correct, in 1945. That's just an aside. These are little informations that we should also, general knowledge that we should always also know. You might say, what has World War II got to do with me? It's gone and done, over and done with. But give me 1 second. When did World War II end? Yeah, actually ended in September 1945 and started in 1939. All right. Yeah, September 1939 and ended in September 1945. Yay. All right. Her family had moved to Amsterdam after the Nazis gained power in Germany, but were trapped when the Nazi occupation extended into the Netherlands. Of course, you know where Netherlands is, right? As persecutions against the Jewish population increased, the family went into hiding in July 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. After 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camp system, where Anne died of typhus in Bergen-Belsen, within days of her sister Margot Frank. Her father Otto, the only survivor of the group, returned to Amsterdam after the war ended to find that her diary had been saved, convinced that it was a unique record. Now you see that unique record. Your diary is a personal thing. Nobody else can ever write your diary more than yourself. He took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. The diary was given to Anne Frank for her 13th birthday and chronicles, like I just said, you can use a diary to chronicle your daily affairs, and chronicles the events of her life from 12 June 1942 until its final entry of 1st August 1944. It was eventually translated from its original Dutch into many languages and became one of the world's most widely read books. There have also been several films, television, and theatrical productions, and even an opera based on the diary. Described as the work of a mature and insightful mind, the diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation. And Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust victims. All right. This is a photo as I would wish myself to look all the time. Then I would maybe have a chance to come to Hollywood. So this she had probably, who knows, of course there was no selfie time. So I guess they use those photographers that cover themselves and then run and tweak it and then tell you to stand and then tell you to look up and then tell you to stay in the... Did you ever experience this kind of photographers? Or you are the
No,
selfie generation? Anybody? Naishana? Did you ever experience this kind of photographers back in the days? No, I'm sure not. Their cameras used to be as big as almost so huge. You didn't see any of them, right? And then they will make you guys.
What, ma'am? I didn't get what you're talking about. Is it
No, I
about
said
a
the
small
photo.
or big size?
No, I'm talking about. I mean, the Anne's photograph. So she says this is how she would like to see herself always. And I'm now saying, of course, back then there were no mobile phones, so it couldn't have been a selfie. So it must have been a professional photographer, those ones who used to have a particular cloth, and then they will set their cameras used to be big, and then they will tell you to stand, and then they will tell you to turn your head this way or to put it
Yeah,
to turn that way.
it's now also there. So we need a very formal pic for like CBSC, and they need a photo like in a very formal way. So we used to go there and take.
That is the studio. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now at
studio.
least you can go to the studio. Then the photographer, when a family celebration, they will come with their big gadget and a particular black cloth so that the light does not affect. And then you don't even get to see the picture until several days later. Unlike now, when you go to the studio, the guy will take it and then he will show you, do you like this one? Do you like this one? And then you say that one, and then he will do some air polishing to make you look smooth and good. And then, you know, he will give you the one that looks best. Anyway, so we digress. Now, like I had said, do you keep a diary? Why do you keep a diary? What do you think are the benefits of keeping a diary? This is a personal thing you should find out for yourself.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
I can't see your shared screen. I'm seeing a black screen.
Oh wow, who's not seeing this? Azim,
I don't know what just happened, but
did you go out of where you were before?
no, I was just seeing the screen and I just slided to see other person, and then it came like black
All
screen.
right, let me share again. But I haven't touched anything. It's still been the same for me.
No, ma'am, I think there is no problem. Maybe Azim's network has down.
Okay. All right. So like I had
Now
asked,
it's okay.
okay, good. Do you keep a diary? What do you think the benefits of keeping a diary is? It's something you should find out for yourself and apply it to your life where possible. All right. Now, can you match this? You have four things here. You have a journal, you have a diary, you have a log, and you have a memoir. So can you anybody
So,
match which one matches to?
so a journal is a full record of journey, a period of time, or an event written every day.
Mm-hmm. What?
Can't you hear me?
So I can hear you. Is that Azim?
Yeah. So I said the second one. A journal is a full record of a journey, a period of time, or an event written every day.
Okay. So what is the difference between a journal and a diary?
So it's like journal is a full record of a journey or a special event. So a diary is a day-to-day complete thing.
Yeah,
Like
usually a journal might be talking about a journaling about a
event.
specific topic, a subject, or a specific activity, right? A record of something like now it says of a journey or a particular period of time, while the diary is what? For each day, thoughts, feelings, what happened, etc. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you can automatically figure it out. The memoir, usually your memoir will be the person's life experiences, etc. Sometimes, if it's not a memoir, it could be an autobiography, right? And then you have the log. Okay, so we're gonna leave out this for example and move on. Some entries from personal records. Use the definitions above to decide which of the entries might be from a diary, a journal, a log, or a memoir. I'd like you to do this in your own private time and provide the answer. Let's move to the reading, right? So I'm going to ask you those questions again and see if you got the answers correctly in the next class. Now I will say from writing in a diary up until this last word, friend, I will ask Naishana, please, can you read for us? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I will do. Writing in a diary is a real strange experience for someone like me. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing, and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. Paper has more patience than people. The I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. I was brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience. And since I am not planning to let anyone else read this stiff backed notebook grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a bit of difference. Now I am back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have friends.
Full stop. Stop there. Thank you, Naishana. Now, the word musings, when you use the word musings, let's look at that. Musings of a 13-year-old girl. What are we talking about here, Fatima?
Maybe the life experience or maybe heart musings of 30-year-old girl means.
Her
Can I?
reflections, her thoughts,
He thought.
her thoughts, her quiet and silent thoughts. All right. So Naishana has read that. Can someone give me a synopsis, I think? Can you give me a summary of what we've just read? What's your understanding? Savin, did you just switch off your camera when I said you should say something? And you just took off. Tamlika, can you please give me a
Yes, ma'am.
summary of what we just read?
Yeah. In this paragraph, she is writing an introduction,
Okay.
and she's going to start her first diary.
Mm-hmm. And what are her thoughts? Who will read this anyways? Who is going to be interested in the thoughts, the musings, the reflections of a 13-year-old girl, right? And then here she's thinking of a quote. Paper has more patience than people. What does that mean? What do you understand that to mean, Fuada? Paper has more patience than people.
It means that pepper don't have any reacting to.
Yeah, it's not going to argue with you. It's just going to be there where you keep it. Anytime you come back, it's there. It's not going to say, why did you leave me? Or why are you being rude? Yeah. Unlike,
Not say any argument.
unlike people who will get into argument with you and feel all kinds of emotion, paper feels nothing. It's there, it's patient. Okay. So I thought of this saying.
Is there any other reason, like she said that she doesn't have a friend? So
Yeah. So all right, Shanida. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day, okay? Yes, she may not have had much of a friend, or many friends, because of the situation on ground as well. Remember, they are being oppressed by the German occupation. So running around and making friends may not have been most important thing. And remember, we started where it told us that first of all they had to hide out in her father's. He had obviously a place in his office or wherever where they were hiding. So they were not going to particularly come out and announce themselves. It was until someone betrayed them, then they were taken to the concentration camp. So my belief is that she must have started writing when all these things were going on. Azim, you had asked me a question and now you're distracted and laughing. I was trying to explain why she probably didn't have a friend. Having friends then may have been.
I got what you said.
Yeah.
In the middle, my mom came,
All right.
so I couldn't.
No problem. Having friends may have been dangerous for her family as well. So they had to keep a low profile. They had to, not announce themselves, right? Okay. So she was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with her chin, bored, listless, with no energy, no interest, no motivation. And that was when she started, putting her thoughts to paper, right? Okay. All right, and then next bit, let me put it more clearly to the word kitty. I would ask you, Nabuhan, are you in class or are you just going to be a silent observer?
Yes, ma'am, I'm
Good.
here.
Can you read from let me put it more clearly down to kitty? And when he does the reading, Ahmed, if you are there, you will give me a summary of what this part is talking about. Ahmed, are you there? Adil?
Ahmad Adil, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. You will give us a summary when Nabuhan is finished. All right, Nabuhan, please start. Hello? What has happened? Nabuhan, I don't see you at all. I see you, but you're saying nothing. Okay, there's no time to waste. Amlika, can you take this, please?
Let me put it more clearly, since no one will believe that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world. And I'm not. I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister. And there are about 30 people I can call friends. I have a family, loving hands, and a good home. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything, except my one true friend. All I think about when I'm with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everyday things. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. In
Confide,
any case,
confide.
confide,
Yeah.
confide in each other. In any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately, they're not
Liable,
to change,
liable.
liable to change. This is why I have started the diary to enhance the image of this long-awaited friend in my imagination. I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend and I'm going to call this friend Kitty.
All right, excellent. Okay, now these are her musings, so she's still going into her thoughts, digging into her thoughts. Ahmed, can you please give me what your summary, Adil Ahmed, can you tell me your summary of this before I add my thoughts to it? Adil, boys, you guys seem to always, why is it that the girls, I keep on saying this, they are put on their cameras, they are more responsive, they call the boys, they are there, except one or two boys, they are have been consistently active in the class. I'm honestly not very pleased about that. I was thinking that having had some little few days of break will help to rewire your thoughts and get you to be part of the class. I don't like backbenchers. That's what you're acting as, backbenching, keeping quiet, not saying anything, not contributing anything to the class. It's a bit of a disappointment. All right, I must say so. So I'm going to select another person since Ahmed and Nabuhan disappointed me. Savine, can you tell me what is a summary of this? What we just read. I can't hear you, dear. Were you listening? Okay, Fatima, can you tell me what's your little summary of what we just read? Now, why do
I think in this,
sorry, just 1 second. Why I break it down and ask you categorically every aspect to see that you are following the train of her thought and that you are understanding instead of reading the whole thing in one fell swoop and then you don't understand. So we're taking it in bits to ensure that you get every aspect of it. Yeah, Fatima, continue, please.
here she's telling mainly about friends, and she's telling like no one believes that she's alone, and though she have family members as a friend, a father, mother, a sister. Ma'am, is there any background disturbance you're facing?
Yeah, do you have a
No, right?
sibling? Do you have a brother playing or something?
Yeah.
It must be him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also there is a loving aunt and uncle. Uncle is not there, right?
Well, when
Aunt,
she
like,
says family, if there's an aunt, that's likelihood it may be an uncle, but I don't know. Because she says she has family and nearly 30 people that she can call friend, right? Loving aunt,
yeah,
you
and
mentioned uncle. So how come?
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Then she is telling about the friends, like how a friend should be, like in which she can confide, like share the personal like personal things and other matters and all. Like
Mm.
just about friends, like how a friend should be, and she is waiting for a friend, and also her friend is Kitty,
No,
like the diary itself.
she called the diary,
Have you reached it?
gave the diary a name. She said she'll call the diary Kitty. All right. Now, let me ask you, how come in the midst of a number of people, some people still feel that they don't have, they are alone. She's in the midst of family that love her and 30 odd people she can call friends, yet at that same time, she still feels alone. How? Is it possible to be in a crowd and still feel lonely? Do you think? You're muted. Has anybody ever reflected on that? Is it possible to be in a crowd of people always around you, your family, and at the same time you still feel lonely?
Yes, ma'am. There can be a situation like that.
Where does that loneliness come from then? Because if you have other people
Uh,
around you, meaning,
yeah, being a friend means our heart, like there should be a satisfaction in our mind, like in which we can share everything. Being there is a lot of crowd or anything, it doesn't mean that we can share our thoughts and everything.
so there's
So
still
yeah, there
something
is a
lacking. She's not able to connect as much as she would want to with maybe a confidant, right? These are, her family as an aunt and everybody, but still she feels something is missing there. And maybe, how family are, mothers or fathers, maybe if she said one or two, want something to her mother will say, what do you mean? Why should you think like that? No, 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 no. And, probably try to tell her, no, you shouldn't think this way and whatnot. Anyway, so it's possible to be
Dina?
in a crowd of people and feel lonely. It's possible to have people you still feel, yes, please.
Okay, Adil Ahmed is facing some issue. He has contacted me.
He's waiting.
Yeah, might be. Yeah, he's
But
facing
I've
some
added
issues.
everybody. There's nobody waiting.
I don't know whether he's facing some issues. He will go. He will join us as soon as he can.
Okay. All right. All right. So comprehension check. What makes writing in a diary a strange experience for Anne? Fuada? What do you think? What makes it a strange experience? Because she says up here, what makes writing in a diary a strange experience?
Because because she never written anything before in
Okay, she's
diary
never
or
written
something.
anything of such, anything
Because
such, yeah, of such. And again, she doesn't think, yeah, continue, go ahead.
she doesn't like anything in her anything before, but also she became later. Uh,
She also thinks no one, remember, we talked about musings, the thoughts. She thinks no one will be interested in reading, wasting their time reading the thoughts of a 13-year-old girl. Aside from the fact that she had never written such a thing, kept a diary before. Not that she's never written in her life, but she's never kept a diary. And she doesn't think anybody will be interested. Even herself, she doubts if she will go back to read the musings of a 13-year-old. Okay, so why does she want to keep a friend, Azim? Sorry, keep a diary. Why does she want to keep a diary?
That might be the reason because she would like to share her experience and she needs other people to know how they suffered and how they lived there.
Uh, I'm not sure that was what she was thinking when she was writing it, because I don't think she ever thought in her wildest dream that her diary will become famous. She needed someone to
Yeah,
confide in, right? She didn't have a friend, so she felt she wanted someone to pour out her heart, maybe share the pains and the thoughts of from her own point, her own perspective of what she is facing, right?
so ma'am, I didn't get what you said now, but it's like if I had a friend and I said my problems to him, I had a little bit relief, something like that.
Of
While
course.
writing, how can you say it's like it's a written there. I had this. It was an evidence that I had some feelings, like I had facing some issues. Like how can you get a relief from that? I
A
didn't get it.
problem shared. There's a quote that says a problem shared is a problem half solved. A problem shared is a problem half solved, right? When you've shared your problem with someone, then you feel a little relief. Savine has said she had no true friend. So she had superficial friends. Superficial, maybe people she sees in the within the neighborhood. Oh, hello, hi, how are you today? Oh, did you see the weather is it looks like it's going to rain? Or did you hear that noise in the night? I wonder what that was. Superficial. Talk about the generalistic things. But her real true feelings, maybe the fact that she's feeling depressed, maybe the fact that she's not happy, she couldn't share with anybody because they will say, "What? You should be happy. You're alive after all. You've eaten, you're not starving, you have your parents, you're not, everything is fine. So why should you be sad?" I'm just giving that as an example. So she doesn't have a true friend to really share her thoughts. And as we go on, we will probably find out what kind of thoughts she has. But that true friend, a confident that she will tell something and then feel that, feel there's a fullness from knowing that there's someone you can rely on. And mostly if it's a like-minded person, someone who also probably within the same age range as you are, probably also going through certain things that are similar to yours. So it helps you. It's possible that, I mean, she's the only 13-year-old in her family, right? She does have her family, her friend, her siblings, but the age is there. It's there's that disparity, and sometimes siblings, even people who are related to each other, may not necessarily be friends. We can choose our friends, but we cannot choose our family. Right. We're just born into the family we are born into. We accept it whether we like it or not, but we can choose a friend based on our interest and all. Anyway, so 3, why did Anne think she could confide more in her dad? That's just what we're talking about, because the people around her were people she didn't really think she could open up to as much as her concerns. Her father had bigger concerns, and maybe she's a sensitive girl. She doesn't want to go disturbing her dad or her mother with her little concerns, right? So she felt a diary wasn't going to talk back to her or question her thoughts, but will just be there where she can pour out whatever it was that was going on in her mind. Okay. Now we will take from since no one would understand a word up to little celebration. No, hang on. I'm going to give one person this, and that will be Fuada. Fuada, so you're going to take since no one up till the last word, diary.
Since no one would understand a word of my stories of pity, if I were to plunge right in, I
Plunge.
had better provide a
One second. Plunge. To plunge. To dive
to
in.
plunge to plunge right in. I had better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so.
Stop.
My
Pause,
father,
pause a
the
bit. Pause. I want to take the word plunge, please. When you're talking about plunge, for example, have you ever seen a diver, a swimmer? Have you ever seen a swimmer when they they go up on the deck and they dive into the water? Another word you can use is to plunge in. So plunging means to just get right into it, to jump into something, right? Okay. So she's trying to say here, no one would understand if I were to just plunge right in, like if I just get started. If I just went straight up and started writing. So it's better to provide a brief sketch, a background of myself, so that if somebody's reading it tomorrow, they at least have a little idea of who I am or who I was. All right, continue, dear.
My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in
Margot,
Germany.
Margot, the T is silent. Margot.
Margot. Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. I was born on 12 June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December and I followed in February. When I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot, I, I started right away at the Montessori nursery school. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cuperus.
Cuperus, yeah. Mrs. Cuperus.
The headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation, so my birthday passed with a little celebration. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. The 4 of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of 20 June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary.
Solemn. The N is
Solemn
silent.
dedication
Solemn.
of my solemn dedication of my diary.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Someone asked me what is Aachen. Aachen is a city in Germany. Okay. Aachen is a city that is found in Germany. All right. So here she has given us a little background of herself so that you can paint a picture. Like it helps you to kind of paint a picture of what kind of family she had and all whatnot. Her father, who she obviously from her words, she loved him very much. She said the most adorable. She's using the most adorable father she ever had, who married at what age, and then they had the sister first. And yes, who's asking? What is solemn? Solemn is when you see someone calm, not necessarily calm, but sober. You know, when something unfortunate or sad happens, like when someone dies, when you're keeping a mass or a service or a funeral, when someone passes on or something bad happens, how do you see people? Do you see people laughing and feeling merry? Are they jumping up and down? No. Everybody's face is long and not happy and calm, and so why is it a solemn celebration? Anyway, so she's linking, look at that, she's linking her solemn dedication of her diary, calm, quiet, dignified, not ceremonious, not, very calm, because her grandmother, who she loved very much. So I was coming down to that level. Well, you've made me jump to the bottom already. Her grandmother died in 42, in the same year she had started her diary, right? And then she said, no one knows how often I think of her and still love her. The birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along. So here tells you how much she was attached to this old lady, how much she cared about the old lady. So that 1942 probably was a period for her that wasn't very exciting. She had lost someone she also loved. And then when you're doing something solemn, it doesn't necessarily mean something bad, but something formal, something calm. Um, for example, your investiture. Let's say an investiture ceremony of school council members. Everybody's looking formally dressed, nice starched shirt and all that. When you are at your school prefects are elected and they're having the investiture ceremony. Do you normally have investiture ceremonies in your school? Anybody? Fatima, I can hear you.
Once, I think.
Okay. Usually an investiture, when the people are assigned their roles, it's a solemn program. It's not where everybody's like, yay, happy and jumping. No. They take their oaths and whatever, and pledge to serve the school, the students, the community, etc. So it's a solemn program. So I don't know who asked me that question, but that does that provide a little context? Do you understand, Safin? Okay. Savin, so did you get it? You can say so in the chat box if you understand what I'm trying to say here. So we've now seen what her background is like a little, her family, and how she, okay, and how she was, when she was born, her sister is obviously born before her. And then when she was, you know, general trajections here and there, more or less, her movement. She started away as Montessori, and I think Montessori is also a popular school, form of nursery in India. I think, if I'm correct, right? For the early years, Montessori is popular in India, and then she stayed there until 6, and then moved on, etc. She had the. I wonder why she particularly mentioned this teacher, Mrs. Kuperos, the headmistress. And then at the end of the year, we were both in tears as they had to. So I think she actually also bonded. She must have bonded with the headmistress. So sometimes when you're reading, you have to read between the lines. You have to identify the person's emotion. The person's emotion will tell you how they felt. So it says, we said a heartbreaking farewell. You only say heartbreaking farewell to people you love. It is heartbreak, you know, it becomes heartbreaking if you are leaving someone or something that you love, right? You don't feel heartbroken when you are getting away from a situation you don't want to be in. So she obviously loved this, being in this school and having Mrs. Kuperos as a teacher, etc. So when she had to leave, she felt sad and left in tears, right? So she's given us highlights of her, some highlights of her background, from how her father is to, so you can see from that word alone, adorable, it shows that her father loved her and they had a very good relationship as well as a parent and a child, right? And then, you know, a brief of her background and her schooling. So we can just have a feel of who Anne Frank was as a person, a young person, right? And then she said, here, the four of us are still doing well. So even after her grandmother passed, they were still doing well. And now she has started her diary. All right. So I'm going to ask oral comprehension check. Azim, are you there? I've asked you severally. Um, Roshan, can you speak?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So why don't she provide a brief sketch of her life? What was the essence of doing that?
To know the his life to another people.
You don't know someone's life to other people, but to make her life known to other people. Like she had said, she cannot just plunge right in. She cannot just open the diary and start writing her thoughts. She wanted to give a bit of a background so that, you know, um, maybe people or anybody reading it tomorrow will understand what kind of person she was, where she was coming from, what kind of life did she had. Because first, if you had read how in the beginning she said, I was feeling lonely. She had mentioned she had no friends, rather, and a sense of loneliness and listlessness. If Anne doesn't present this background of the fact that she had family and who they were, and that she had people who, like her headmistress, who we will think, oh, who knows, this girl might have been what, an orphan, nobody, alone in the world, etc., etc. Right? So presenting a background helps you kind of gain a little more understanding about the writer or the person, an actor, whoever it is. All right. What tells you that Anne loved her grandmother? Who can tell me that? How do you know she loved her grandmother? Fatima, Savin, Nabuhan, you've said no word. How do you know she loved her grandmother? It's there. Like I said, when you're reading, read between the lines. Some words are not necessarily said out clearly. Then while some are said, some are insinuated just by one word, by one adjective or superlative. You can be able to figure out just by one word, right? She said, here, no one knows how often I think of her and still love her. Right? That one is explicit. For her teacher, it wasn't explicit. But if you read the last line where she talked about Miss Skippers, the headmistress, at the end of the year, we were both in tears. So it means that they had a very good rapport. They were happy. They had a good relationship. So you've got to learn to read between the lines as you're reading. Don't just read literally. Don't just read to have a literal understanding, but try to follow the feelings, the emotions, and read between the lines, because the words do have a lot of meaning, connotation. Connotation is the meaning that might not have been expressly said, but inferred. Okay? So that way you are able to give a little more flesh to what you are reading. So I think now we have been able to get a context and a background of Anne. So from the next class, we will jump into the diary entry. Do you have any questions so far? So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. Naishana?
No.
Yeah? Was it clear to you? Do you have any questions?
No, it's clear.
So if you are asked to give a little synopsis, a summary of Anne Frank, her background, the context and why she started her diary, etc., would you be able to do so?
Yeah, I think so.
All
can
right,
do
can
it.
you try then? Just, you don't have to say so much. You can just give me a general sketchy background of what you've understood, a summary about Anne Frank, a little about her family, and why she started her diary.
Yeah. So she started the diary because of she doesn't have a true friend, and she also thought that while writing, it makes anyone else to be interested by the effort of this 13 years old girl. So um, she she thought that to find a real friend, so she started for writing the diary, and she named the diary as Kitty. Then, yeah, then she talked about her family. Um, she said that her father was a very adorable father that she have ever seen, and um, he didn't marry. Sorry, he married her mother when he was 36, 8 years old, and when her mother was 25 years, and she had a sister named Margot, and she was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926, and she was born on 12th June 1929, and she lived in Frankfurt for till she was 4 years, and then in 1933 her father emigrated to Holland. Then yeah, then she started to study at Montessori Nursery School, and she stayed there for 6 years when she was 6 years, and her headmistress was Miss Cooperess, and when they have a heartbreaking farewell. Then, in the summer of 1941, her grandmother fell ill and had an operation. So her
Now you
birthday
are
was,
telling me the
but
whole entire thing, darling. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted a little summary. But you're now giving me blow by blow of the entire thing. Thank you, Naishana. That's fine. I just wanted to at least be sure that you were following and you're on track. Now you can be able to, without your book, and I hope that applies to all of you, be able to write a little background by yourselves of Anne Frank and her famous diary, right? So you should be able to provide a background, if you are asked to, of Anne Frank and her diary. So we will get into the diary itself from the next class. I'm happy, at least I think you guys are all following, except for the gentleman I didn't hear, Adil Ahmed, when I asked, he took off. I repeat, why does Anne provide a brief sketch of her life? Now, why she provides a brief sketch of her life is so that if you don't have that background about her and you're reading it, you cannot connect. You're unable to paint a picture. Books paint pictures, writing paints pictures in people's minds. So if she's reading it, if someone else is reading it, they cannot be able to relate. But she's trying to tell you, this is who I am, this is my background, this is where I'm coming from, this is why I'm keeping a diary. I don't have confidence, So I feel I can pour out my thoughts in my diary. But this is me. So like a background, right? Now think about it. When you go to the hospital and then you have a pain on the right side and the doctor is thinking, okay, I think it's appendicectomy and maybe might need a surgery. Does he just put you on the, plunk you on the table and just take his surgeon scalpel and cut you open? Savin, does he? No. If your mother, maybe because you're a minor, you're there with your mother, he's going to ask questions. Like, what kind of question do you think the doctor will ask, Savin? You're muted. What kind of question would your doctor ask before he decides and, you know, takes a further step in your treatment? You're muted, dear. Can anybody give me an idea what they think a surgeon or a doctor will ask? Nobody. Oh, interesting. Anyway, if you were to go to the hospital the first time and complaining of a tummy ache, why am I asking this? Is the doctor would want to have a sketch of your background, right? He would want to know, is this a pain occurring every single day? How often? What is your diet like? What do you normally eat? What kind of things do you do? Are you very energetic? Do you have any, you know, hereditary, are there other problems he should know before he can make a diagnosis? He's not just going to jump right in and take his, and put you now, oh, I think your appendix, we need to now hop on top of the stretcher, and then he starts the thing. No, he has to find out your background. Background matters. Background matters. It's not a fiction. Remember, it is not a fiction, and Frank's diary is not fiction. It's about her life, which is why it's like an autobiography, which is why it's important for her to give an idea of who she is or who she was. So you can relate it to what you're reading about her daily entries in her diary. So it's a memoir. It wasn't a fiction. Unlike fiction that you can just open up and the story can just start, and the car screeched and the man jumped out. That's a figment, you know, imagination. So when you're writing, when you look at memoirs and autobiographies and all that, which is talking about the writer, there will always be a background to give you an idea who the writer or the person is. Who the, you know, if the autobiography is about the person, it will try to provide you a background about the person. And usually this happens in real life with things that are factual. Savin, do you understand? Unlike fiction, like I said, fiction, they don't necessarily have, even though some fiction, especially TV series, for example, a TV program or movie that runs in series in part 1, part 2, part 3, when part 1 finishes, before part 2 starts, what do? Can anybody tell me? If you're watching a movie that has 4 parts, when part 1 finishes, by the time part 2 is starting, what do they normally do? Tamnika, any ideas?
Ma'am, can you repeat what you said right now?
I was saying, when a movie, if you're watching a movie that has 4 parts, for example, when part 1 of the movie finishes, by the time they want to start the second episode, what do they usually do? What do they usually do before they start the second episode? They will give you glimpses of what happened in the, they will give you a few glimpses of what happened in the previous one, right? You're muted. Victor, I was gonna call you now. Fatima, you're muted. You wanted to say something. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so in case you missed the first part, they usually will end it on a cliffhanger. And then when they start in the next episode, they will give you a little run of the part, the important aspects, so that you are up to speed. Right. So that is called giving you a bit of a background. All right, guys, this has been interesting. Thank you very much. Good to see you again. So I'm going to hand over the class to Victor, sir, and step away. So from next week, we will start looking into the diary itself. I will send the link to the recorded session to your teacher, okay? Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Victor, over to you. Stop